Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to talk about Xbox Game Pass getting a price increase, but not just a price increase, also some changes to the tier system and how it works. So first and foremost, subscription prices going up is not a new thing. This is not exclusive to Microsoft or Xbox. PlayStation had a big jump up in their subscription pricing model, which is part of the reason that I ended up ultimately canceling my subscription. The base subscription, the essential tier, went from $60 to $80 a year, which isn't the craziest jump, but it is like fairly substantial. That, you know, you're adding like a third of the total cost that it was to the cost now. So $80 is a lot. The extra tier is like $135 a year. I don't even know what the premium tier is because I don't care about that one at all, but it got way too expensive for me. And Game Pass is also going up substantially. But the biggest thing about Game Pass changing is not that their prices are going up, because like I said, subscriptions go up across the board, no matter where you are, whether it's in video games or with streaming. But the biggest problem is now that the Xbox Game Pass, the base tier, the core tier, now does not get day one access to new releases, which is a huge hit to a lot of users. Most of the comments I've gotten in the past on my videos talking about subscription services or talking about Xbox is that Game Pass is their big seller. That's their big thing that they have. Like that's huge value for the consumer, and people have like found so many fantastic games because of Game Pass. And I agreed. When I did some research about like what was on Game Pass, it's a huge value and it's fantastic. But now that you are eliminating these day one releases, especially from like your first party titles, now it becomes much less of a big deal. Now you just have access to like a smaller library of games. You don't get those day one, and it's going up for you. So if you're one of those core member subscribers, suddenly everything is way more expensive for you. You have to either upgrade to these bigger tiers or just start buying these releases on the day that they come out instead of subscribing to Game Pass. And the biggest thing here, the biggest kicker, the thing that makes everyone probably the most upset is the fact that Microsoft came out a couple months ago, maybe it was a month ago, something like that, fairly recently, and talked about how Call of Duty, the new Black Ops 6, is coming to Game Pass day one, which was a huge shock for a lot of people because this is a huge seller. This is one that you don't need Game Pass to sell this game. Everyone's going to go out and buy it. But now you have to subscribe to a higher tier in order to get access to Call of Duty Day 1, which is clearly by design. This is Microsoft not only hiking up their prices on their other versions of the model, but now making the most expensive tier the one that has you be able to access Black Ops 6. There's definitely it's not just a coincidence here. They're upping their prices and changing their tier system so that when Call of Duty comes out, they make the most money possible, which for them is not a terrible idea. I'm not saying this is a bad thing necessarily, because they do need to be recouping their money. They spent a ton of money, over $70 billion total on the Activision merger here and the purchase of that company. So it makes sense for them to want to maximize their profit here, especially since Game Pass has not been doing quite as well as they had hoped in terms of the growth. However, I did see recently that Phil Spencer has come out and said that Game Pass is actually profitable, which was surprising to me because I figured with all this crazy value that they're giving, there's no way they could like effectively make money off of this. But apparently they have enough subscribers, and this new pricing model is clearly going to drive some people away, but the people that really like Game Pass and like the access to the day ones without having to buy those games will likely upgrade their subscription, and I bet you it'll be a net positive for Microsoft in the end. They will probably have a lot of people leave, but they'll probably have plenty of people upgrade and spend more money every single year on the subscription service. Netflix did a similar thing where they were trying out their new, like, you can't be family sharing anymore. You have to make sure you're checking in like at the primary location every like 24 or 48 hours, something like that. And if you don't, then you get logged out of the account. You can't just share passwords anymore. People thought it was crazy. People thought it was a terrible idea and that would not be good for Netflix. But instead, it had a big boom. You had plenty of users that didn't have access to it anymore actually subscribe to the service. So these strategies aren't necessarily bad. I think this is kind of a kick in the face to the loyal users of Xbox Game Pass, people that really love the service. And that's a hard thing for a lot of the people, especially since they announced that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was coming to Game Pass day one before they announced the price changes and the tier changes. It seems maybe a little bit scummy to me in this instance, because that was something, a big selling point, probably a lot of people were really excited about, and then suddenly it's like, oh, except you have to upgrade to this higher tier in order to access Call of Duty. Another thing that I thought was interesting, I saw this with Mutahar's video. He did a breakdown of Xbox. You should go check it out, of the price increases and stuff. I thought it was really interesting. I was planning on doing a video on it anyway, and then his came out and gave me some more information. With the FTC like going through and kind of challenging this acquisition from Microsoft, one of the biggest sticking points from Microsoft's end is that they were saying this is going to be better for consumers because we're going to be putting Black Ops 6 or the new Call of Duty games on Game Pass day one, and that will be something that they can access. And the biggest thing as well is that they said that the purchase of Activision Blizzard would not affect a price change for Game Pass. Now, there's other reasons that they can cite right now. Clearly, the economy is not doing as well. You've got inflated gaming, like the budgets and everything. Games are costing way more to produce nowadays. You have the inflation going crazy, so they can cite a lot of other things to say this is why we're increasing Game Pass prices. But it's clear that this is also a factor in bringing up their pricing model. They need to be making more money to offset these purchases they've made. Mutahar's video also talked about how this is like this is easily the largest acquisition from Microsoft's end, like a huge deal. Some of their other purchases and everything, like LinkedIn, pale in comparison to how much they spent on Activision Blizzard. I think it was something like 23 million compared to this 73 million or whatever the total end was, which is kind of crazy. This needs to make money for them because it was such a big purchase. So it makes sense that they're increasing the prices, but it really sucks for people that subscribe to the Game Pass model. If you're a Game Pass model subscriber, I would love to know your thoughts. Are you planning on upgrading to the higher tier to get access to games like Call of Duty and the new first party releases and second party from Microsoft themselves? Or are you planning on dropping it? Are you planning on just keeping the core membership and not worrying about the day one releases? I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments section below, because I've never had Game Pass. I don't really plan on getting it. The only thing I would really want for Game Pass is to play like Halo Online, because I got the Master Chief Collection, but that doesn't appeal to me enough to spend something like, I think it's $20 a month now for the core, which is kind of crazy to me. I can't believe it's that expensive. I know you get access to a bunch of other stuff, but I'm not that interested in it. It is interesting that, PC users with Game Pass can just play online for free. It's weird that we have to pay to play online for some of these games on Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo. It's really annoying. I actually really hate that I have to pay $20 a year to Nintendo just so I can play Smash Online. That's really awful. But yeah, I don't have any plans on buying a new subscription. Nintendo's the only one I have, and it's just because I play Smash Online for right now. I will likely cancel that in the future because I don't use the other services that they have. Anyway, just let me know in the comments section down below if you are a Game Pass user, what you think about this new news, if you're planning on doing anything about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.